we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here at Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, also as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, where we're covering the NFL Draft on our next upcoming show. So check out that as well. And the Aaron Rodgers trade. So don't miss that on our next show. Plus also as well, Game Source. Of course, the great folks at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and check out Joe Soro today as Ox 1947. You know, he's rejoicing, and so is the entire crew at LakersBall.com. Plus also as well, support his awesome business in the Southern California area. If you need a new lawn today, at Simblades with the Y.com. Plus also as well, Magic Man in the morning. Every Friday morning, even though he will not be there, there will be a Magic Man replacing him for that Friday only. So go ahead and check out Magic Man in the morning every Friday morning right there for you at the Lakers Fast Break channel. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe, please subscribe below to go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with our latest Lakers Fast Break programming. We are almost at 600 subscriptions, almost at 100,000 downloads, almost at 100,000 as far as the number of views on YouTube. So we're really hitting some high numbers, and it's all because of you. So be part of the action today at Lakers Fast Break. Plus our good friends, Laker Tom, you know he's loving it. He might even stop by tonight. He's always found at Lakerholics.com along with Jamie Sweet. Big shout out to him. The John McCalian channel, go ahead and like and subscribe to there because you know he's happy about him being part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. So go ahead and subscribe today. You'll see them all with the different LA hats each and every time out. Also as well, go ahead and support our good friend Stone Hansen at the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. You know he's covering the NBA Draft with his good friends like no other. So go ahead and check out the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. And if you could do all of that, it is sincerely appreciated. Well, the Lakers heading into game 4 was getting kind of nervous. And as Mr. Magic Man and everybody has been showing on the graphics that for every game 4 in the NBA playoffs, whoever wins game 4 wins the series 79% of the time. So it is pivotal that the Lakers must-have game was tonight for game 4. And they started off a little shaky, but actually came back by the end of the first quarter to gain a lead. And by the end of the first half, they had at one time a 15-point lead heading into late in the second quarter, but they went on a run. The Grizzlies did, the Memphis Grizzlies, but to close the gap to 2. And in the third quarter, kind of pulled a lead on the Lakers for about 5-7 points. But the Lakers came back, charged strong, behind some clutch shooting by D'Angelo Russell, behind some other great play from Austin Reeves, some contests, some great D by Rui Hashimura, and the Lakers came back in overtime where they relied on 2 players that they haven't been able to rely on the whole game, and LeBron James, who's old now, as he went ahead and scored a decisive basket on Dylan Brooks's face right there when it mattered the most. And Anthony Davis came back strong as well, struggled the entire game, but when it came down to it and the Lakers needed the most, those 2 pulled it through. And the Lakers, in a true team effort in the fourth quarter and overtime, take the victory to take a commanding 3-1 series lead, 117-111. And here today to talk about today's tremendous game that had us rolling all over the place with emotions. I was so nervous. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. The guys couldn't make it there with me, but I had an awesome crew. Aussie was so nervous. He was in Australia. He had to go down to the pub for a beer because he was just so nervous. He couldn't take it. Devotion, FL24, J-Ro, everyone that was a great part of what we're doing. Raphael, they were just so awesome on the playback, and we were all nervous. But tell you what, Joe and Sean came back in time to go ahead and check this out, and it definitely was worth it because the Lakers pulled it out in overtime. And here today to talk about today's game, 2 great guys indeed. You got to go ahead and check out him normally every Friday. There will be a replacement in me for just this Friday, but he's usually there every Friday. It is Magic Man and the morning host. It is Sean Grice. And Sean, the guy who couldn't get out of Toronto traffic, but for a very good reason. You only could have heard it why on playback because it's not for general audiences per se. But I will say, great to have you here, my friend. While I was going ballistic, Joe was going ballistic. You had that inner sense of calm and zen because you knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call myself Nostradamus right now, Gerald, but I was feeling pretty relaxed tonight, and I have to admit, as nervous as most people would have been, I had a good sense that they knew how bad it was to get this game. If you get this game, and me and Joe were talking about it on the snack pack, you just you just firmly plant that seed right in the middle of their skull about doubt. And Joe mentioned just stepping on someone's throat and twisting, not letting off, just twisting. And unfortunately, Gerald, like you were nervous as hell. I was getting the updates and I was seeing the box score, but I wasn't watching it until we got into the thick of it. And
For a while, it was
my
brutal, my friend.
it was, yeah, it did, it was. So I'm gonna rewatch it tonight and see what I missed. But Gerald, look, uh I don't care about the shooting numbers tonight. D'Lo played fantastic. Bravo to D'Lo. He hit three
The
huge,
second half, the
huge
second half.
shots.
Let's just
Yeah,
say the
he did.
second half.
He did. He did. Well, you know what? You got to come through for your team eventually. And unfortunately, he fouled out, but he did hit those big shots. Um, Austin Reeves came back with a good game. Um, what else can we say about Rui other than being completely impressed with the way he's
He gave you
composed
what you
himself?
needed on the
Yeah,
defensive side of the game this time.
yes, and up against guys like Bain and Tillman on the
Triple
perimeter.
J.
Triple J. Rui can hold his own. He's a physical specimen, so he was able to in his own way neutralize Memphis's athleticism to an extent. So it was a noble effort all around, especially in that fourth quarter. They had to dig deep, and everybody was pointing out astutely at the end of overtime, the Lakers looked a little gassed.
Yes.
Darvin Ham called the timeout. It was, as Joe said, it was an
Smart.
opportune timeout. It was good timing as well. Um, they came back, ran a good play, got a good shot at the basket. AD made one of two three throws, but overall, Gerald, 3-1, baby. I mean, I'm getting closer and closer to singing that Dandy Don Meredith song, and I will belt it out as soon as we get that fourth win, but we're oh so close.
We're also close to turning out the lights, my friend, because that is the song I think you're thinking of. Also here today, good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out at Sox 1947 today at LakersBall.com. Plus, also as well, you got to go ahead and check him out at Simblades, Simblades with the Y.com. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, great to have you here, my friend. You checked in the second half. I know you had a lot of busy work to do at Simblades because you know what? It's so popular getting all the business there at Simblades.com. Great business, great deals, great phone calls, and a great game to top it all for you tonight.
Yes, it's been phone calls, basketball, and fun. Yeah, that's it.
That
That's it.
was beautiful, Z. The way he
Phone
contested,
calls.
Rui contested, that was just beautiful, Z.
It was a absolutely fantastic game. Even if the Lakers had lost this game, it still would have been fantastic. But obviously, it's even more fantastic now that they've won. And if there's one thing that hasn't changed and will likely never change, is superstars, megastars in these kind of games make a huge difference. And LeBron James is, I'd say, if he was ever warranted to do this, it was right after the game ended. And that's all we asked LeBron to do. LeBron, you next to Jordan, you are the best player I've ever seen that can get to the basket. When you get to the basket, good things happen. Don't pass it out in those situations. I know it's the right basketball play, but you're LeBron James. I'd rather get the 2 points when it's LeBron James going for the layup or the dunk. It was a tale of 4 quarters in terms of our role players making an impact. So looking at it from the first quarter, without a doubt, Vanderbilt was the guy. Vanderbilt was having, I think he might have had a career game tonight in the playoffs, especially.
Especially that first quarter.
Correct. He hit 2 threes from the corner, almost hit 3 threes, just went in and out. But he was the third guy, or I should say the second guy, because AD really didn't have a good game tonight. But he was the role player that took over in the first quarter. The second quarter, you know, you go up 15 points and you get another lull. And we talked about this morning as well, as these lulls, even though it wasn't the same lull I was talking about the end of quarter, this lull took a little bit longer. They kind of ran into the lull before that. They just could not stop Memphis. Memphis went on a run, and they ended up closing it to 2 points into the half when they were just up 15. Third quarter, you had a pretty much even quarter back and forth. And then once they got into the fourth quarter, what can you say about D'Angelo Russell, man? I mean, he was struggling until it mattered. And he hit 3 crucial threes that in no way this game wins without those threes. Memphis went up 7. They had all the momentum. And then he kept them in the game enough to where they could make a final run and get it into overtime. And then once overtime hit, I guess they sunk in even more in what they had, and they were able to. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that that last play with 0.8 seconds left in regulation, AD making that block and LeBron hitting the 3-quarter shot. I know that didn't count, and I know it was just an avoidance of getting beat, but it said something. It said something like, hey, these guys are going to finish this game, and it's exactly what they did.
I do want to ask you before I send it to Sean, something we've said all season, when the game is on the line and the Lakers do not need a 3, you see all the time these NBA teams go to a 3-point shot, a reliance on that 3-point shot, even when they don't need it. We've been saying all season, we admired so much about the Boston game where LeBron took it to the hoop. Yes, didn't get the call, but that's exactly what you want to do, is take it to the hoop at the final seconds when you don't need a 3. This is exactly what you want them doing when it comes down to the stretch, not settling for the 3, one-on-one, behind the arc, shooting a 27-footer. You want them taking the basket and taking your chances there.
Yes, it's important to make the right call, even if you miss the shot. Now, Rui got a little bit of crap, especially from Gerald Glassford, for not making that layup. And
he should have passed the ball to AD.
I understand that, but his focus was to try to make the shot, and he wasn't anticipating. If you watch Triple J, and I know he's the defensive player of the year, but it looked like he jumped an extra foot on that play. I don't know what the hell he jumped off of, but he jumped off of something, and it looked like his elbow was on the rim. You can't make decisions off in a second. He was trying to get to the bowl to make the shot, and he didn't make it. I don't mind effort. I don't mind trying to make a play as long as it's a smart play. I know Schroeder was making some mistakes that he shouldn't make. But the thing is, one thing that I got out of this game is it seemed like every mistake D'Angelo Russell made or Dennis Schroeder made, they made up for it with an amazing play not too long after that. We can't run a perfect game here, and you have to understand that Memphis is a very, 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 very good team, and their defense is phenomenal. Their defense is phenomenal. Anyone they play the rest of the way. I mean, I don't even think Boston's defense is this good. This is the best defense I've seen all year. no doubt. I feel like once the Lakers, should they win this series, they're going to have a little bit of like an exhale of like, okay, whew, all right, we're going to have to deal with these Bulldogs. I mean, everybody on this team, except for John Morant, who has the freaking speed of Usain Bolt with a basketball, everyone looks like a football player with speed, with just nastiness.
No, they're pigs. They're pigs. They'll just get right up. Yeah, they don't care.
They're a phenomenal defensive team, and you have to put that into consideration. And you have to give the Lakers credit for playing physical like this. Even and AD, not having a good night tonight had a lot to do with the fact that they had two guys on him the whole night. And he was getting the crap beat out of him, and that it happens. This is how it works sometimes. Go ahead.
So Memphis shot 9 of 42 from 3. Let's also give some credit to the defensive game plan that Ham had again. He's lulling Memphis into falling in love with 3-point shots that percentages say they're not going to make most of the time, Gerald. As much as everybody wanted to point to the fact that the Lakers had the advantage in the first 2 games on the 3, the fact of the matter is that they were both average 3-point shooting teams. And again, me and Joe talked. Well, I talked about it before Joe came on, but coming into this game, Memphis had shot 1 of 19 from above the break threes from the left-hand side of the court. Tonight, they were 3 of 10. Ham and the defense is able to siphon and funnel Memphis into either taking those short corner threes or those above the break ones, because Gerald, for some reason, Memphis has decided they're allergic to the mid-range. They will not take mid-range shots. They'd rather take contested shots at the rim, which again is kind of confounding. On top of everybody shooting a 3 when a 2 would suffice. That's also a little confusing. You'd sacrifice maybe a 40-45% mid-range shot for a contested rim shot that maybe has a 25% chance of going in, but you'll take the easy 2 over the more difficult 2. Got to pick your poison in the playoffs, and you got to take sometimes what the defense gives you, and Memphis isn't taking advantage of it. Our game plans is working.
Once again, the Lakers do win with an outstanding overtime and fourth quarter to go ahead and pull out the victory. Joe, I want to get it back to you. When it comes to what you saw from Darvin Ham today, again, I still have issues with the stagnant way the offense does not move, and it's so reliant on the isolation. Still, when it came down to it, the Lakers were able to pull enough. Like you talk about, it's just when it comes to the offense, so much it seems like we want to go ahead and say we have more talent than you, and they get away with it. They get away with it, but my gosh, AD was tonight they had a really good handle on the Memphis Grizzlies side. They had him struggling throughout the entire game, but you know what? The Lakers were able to go ahead as a team, as a unit, with so many different players, whether it was Austin Reeves coming up with 21, LeBron James coming up with 20 and 20. Just an outstanding game from him. 22 and 20 rebounds, 7 assists for him. Dennis Schroeder chipping in with 12. They did get the contributions even on a day where Anthony Davis only struggled with 12 points.
It's difficult to run an offense fluidly when you haven't done it all year. I don't know if Darvin Ham has an offensive philosophy that he can go into each game in and game out and be able to adapt to whichever defense he's going to face. The LeBron James offense has always been a little more freelance than a system. So that probably plays a part in it. It also plays a part in that most of these guys have only played it with each other for 2 months. So not to get ahead of myself here, but this team likely will need a training camp if most of these guys should come back. need a training camp to acclimate themselves in a rhythm and a chemistry that would probably warrant a little bit more fluid offense. But then again, you're still looking at LeBron James. LeBron James controls the ball. LeBron James decides if he wants to kick it out, go to the hole, whatever. But I didn't see any issues with Darvin Ham making decisions on how to run the offense. The issues that I saw were bad decisions by the players. Schroeder throwing to Darvin Ham, Schroeder throwing somewhere, jump passing to the corner where no one's there. These mistakes, or LeBron shooting from three, and again, I'm going to end that on a good thing. LeBron stopped doing that towards the end. He almost pulled up one time, I think it was like with a couple minutes left, and he kind of went like this. That's smart basketball. That's what we want. When something's not working, don't keep doing it, especially in a game like this. So to me, if you're going to make mistakes, I used to always love watching Hines Ward play in football. Every time he'd drop a pass or whatever, it always seemed like the next play he'd get a 7-yard out or a 12-yard in and make up for the mistake. That's what you need to do in this situation as well. You're not perfect, which means learn from your lesson. Learn the lesson from the last play. Don't do jump passes when you don't have to. Don't throw the ball out of control. Be in control and try to get the ball to the right people. And towards the end, they did. They ran as well as they could have. They were effective. They made baskets. AD towards the end was effective. He got key tip-ins that changed the momentum at that moment, and it was big. I don't really see anything really wrong in this game because you have two teams that absolutely played at the highest level of basketball that you can see. Everyone played at a high level. Even the ones that didn't play well played at a high level. And you should thank both teams. And I know the refs got a lot of crap today, at least on game time on LakersBall.com. But I actually didn't think they actually did a bad job tonight. I think they let them play a little bit. And that's what I don't care if you're going to let them be physical as long as it's even. Okay. If you're not going to call a foul on a little brush from one side, don't call on the other. And they did that. They did that. I would like to not have as much stoppage. You know, that tends to kind of ruin the game a little bit. But I didn't see any issues with the officiating at all, even though there were some clear – I thought most of the fouls were really good calls. And you had two teams that were playing lights-out basketball, and someone's going to have to win. And it just so happens that the Lakers won, and we kind of get the best of both worlds there. Great game, great officiating, and then of course we watched the Lakers win a game and go up 3-1.
Once again, the Lakers do win 117-111. It's Joe Soro and MagicMan Sean Grice. It's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. You know what, Tycoon? You said it best. Jimmy Butler was unreal today, and they were down by 12 with about 6 minutes left in the game, and I thought that game was over. And he literally put Miami, his whole entire team, on his back and carried it to a victory.
You can't literally put a team on your back.
It was okay, figuratively, fine.
There you go. That's better English.
Figuratively.
Yeah, there you
go.
Fine.
See how you are. But once again, it's the Lakers fast break.
So, Gerald, I'd just like to point out it's also flower time for LeBron as well. He joins an exclusive club in Lakers history, like exclusive.
For the 2020 game today?
Yeah, there are only 5 members, and he's one of them. Wilt, Kareem, Baylor, Shaq, James, all Lakers who've averaged 20 in a playoff game, and he did it in a win. I think that's what he would love more. Yeah, it's great I got a 2020 game, but we won, and we're up 3-1.
That's all that matters.
And I think all 5 of those gentlemen would all have the same attitude as well. That's great. I had a 2020 game. Did we win?
Yes, that's all that matters. And you know what? The best part about it was when it counted the most, that isolation. And I understand, again, I've been saying it as Z and I are going back and forth, and all respect to Z, much love. When they go to so much isolation in the fourth quarter and in overtime and it just throughout the game, it's so reliant on it. Sometimes it's just so much easier to guard the Lakers when that happens. But you know what? When it came down to it and you needed an isolation play, Joe, was it so satisfying for you that the most critical play of the game was LeBron taking it on Dylan Brooks, driving right by him and making him look goofy as he scored the winning basket, or basket that pretty much sealed the
Well,
victory?
the correct play is LeBron James when you need 2 points to go to the hole,
Yeah.
and you have AD there to back you up. So why wouldn't you do that play? It's just such smart basketball. It's such smart basketball. Smart basketball makes you feel good. Even if he had missed it, it's still the right call. And that's the right call. You're LeBron James. You want to do this? Well, when you do this, you have to do this. Right? See it? See how that works?
So let me ask you this. Fried Chicken's got this in the comments, and I just want to get you. PG-13 guys, a healthy PG-13 or Jimmy Butler? I'm saying playoff Butler for me every single time. I mean, when it comes down to it, playoff Jimmy Butler is so much better than anything PG-13 has ever done in the postseason.
Yes, Gerald. I was there in 2019. I saw what he did with that offense.
Did you see what he did in the finals against the Lakers?
Yes, of course. Like, come on.
He
Like,
gave
there's
everything.
There's no comparison between playoff Jimmy and PG-13. PG-13 hasn't gotten to a finals. Jimmy has.
Yeah, I just more like you said, more heart. Absolutely more heart.
Yeah.
Scarlet and blue. Yeah, absolutely.
Jimmy's
Joe,
all this.
your thoughts on this real quick, and we'll get back to the Lakers here. I just wanted to hear your opinion on it. PG-13, a healthy PG-13 or Jimmy Butler?
I don't know why that's even a question.
Well, Fried Chicken was bringing up in the chat. I'm just sharing our thoughts on it.
Well, Fried Chicken needs to change his name to Grilled Chicken with that question. It just doesn't. It doesn't. That doesn't. That's like saying who's better, LeBron or John Morant in the playoffs. I mean,
During the regular season, I would give it PG-13 because Jimmy Butler really does not care in the regular season. But come playoff time, he's one of those players that turns it up. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world because you see he actually cares and turns it up like the few other players do.
It warms my heart that he makes you happy while the playoffs are on.
Well, it's just enjoyable to watch as a basketball fan.
Yes, I'm happy you're
Aren't
happy.
we ever? Didn't you say yourself you're a basketball fan, Joe?
But I'm not, slobbering over Jimmy Butler and all these people.
I'm answering his question.
By the way, don't worry, Fried Chicken. I sent out some fire trucks to put out that burn that Soro just laid on you. That was so delicious.
Hey, you can meet me in Temecula. That hasn't been the first time that's been said. All you got to do is look up this right here. You know what? And I'll say the address. You find me there, especially during the day.
But if you go out, can you please order a lawn? Just while you're there.
Well, there's plenty of people out there that contact us.
If you're going to challenge Joe to a fight, at least buy his products first.
That's funny. Well, guys usually are, they'll scuffle and then they'll have a beer afterwards, and I'm cool with that. I've done that before.
Okay, fair enough indeed. But once again, the Lakers do win 117-111. Sean, I bring it back to you, my friend. When it comes to what you see with the Lakers, they now shift the series up 3-1, only needing one more to finish off the series, going back to a very big, rowdy Memphis crowd, one of the toughest places to play in the NBA. They've already won there once. Can they do it again?
But being down 3-1, you're up against it, and like you said, it's one of the more difficult environments to play in the NBA, and they have like that arena itself is it. mm, it's modern in the sense that it's got the concessions and all, but really it's more of a bowl, like kind of like what the old Key Arena used to be like, so the crowd can feel like they're on top of you. So you're right, it can be a very difficult environment. um I think they can. Look, I just happen to think that one thing that made me confident that the Lakers would win this series is that eventually what would happen is Memphis's youth and inexperience still would wilt eventually in the end, and it happened tonight. Like they like you said, Gerald, the Lakers blew a 15-point lead, so Memphis could have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, but they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and the Lakers took advantage. And we talked about it earlier that if you can use Memphis's over aggressiveness against them, they don't really have a way of fighting back. It's like their quicksand. It's their Achilles heel. The more aggressive they become, the more harder it is for them to come back, especially in a deficit. Because look, we know they are the biggest front runners in, I think, in all of sports now, not just in the NBA. They talk a big game when they're up 20 or 25, or you know they've got a 8 game lead in the third seed. But when it comes right down to it, that they don't have the metal, they don't have titanium in their onions, and I just think that a veteran team takes advantage of it eventually.
One thing I do want to ask, and a good point, Scarlet and Blue brought this up with Joe, the mention of what the Lakers are now going to have to go through. Is something we talked about right around the time that the Lakers lost game two, was that game two, losing that game was kind of crucial for the Lakers simply because the fact is now that you're playing every other day, the Lakers don't have 3 days off like they had in the past week. Now they're playing every other game. Older guys such as LeBron and AD on the wrong side of 30, you still see it as a problem, or do you think that the Lakers will overcome that at some point to go ahead and close out the series?
I don't see it being a problem. I think the mentality changes during the playoffs. They deal with pain a little bit better. AD's hip got hurt in this game. I think
Yeah.
it might have played a factor in his.
He also got kicked in the groin.
Yeah, he got beat up pretty well. And again, this is playoff basketball, guys, and you're playing, in my opinion, the best defense in the league. So I think the mentality has to be get these guys out of your way so you can get to the next round where it's going to be a little easier. Whether you're facing Golden State or Sacramento, you're going to have at least a softer team. Now, you're still going to have to deal with some idiot trying to slap you in the schnick.
Or a kick.
With Draymond dumbass, but guys like Steph, guys like Clay, they're not going to really D you up in a sense of where you're feeling like you're getting boxed. I would be surprised if the Lakers win Game 5, honestly, because this was such a high win. They're bound to kind of come down a little bit and probably relax. However, beating a 2 seed as a 7 seed and 6 is very admirable. So I'm picking the Lakers to win in 6 with a hope that they finish in 5.
Although, you know what? If they start off the game well on Wednesday, that could give them the kind of energy that they need.
Yeah, it would be nice. I think the Jekyll and Hyde games of AD. So we had AD not play well, but we still won. What if he plays well now? But see, none of that stuff matters. Each game has its own personality. Ja Morant has played in 3 of 4 games, and we've beaten the Grizzlies in 3 of those games. And we lost the game he wasn't playing in. Does that make any sense? This series should have been a sweep, actually. This should have been a sweep. They should not have lost game 2. And that was with Triple J kind of spraining his ankle on top of it. They should have won that game. But I said before, you make up for that loss by winning both games at home. So at this point, that game is obsolete. It doesn't matter anymore. Win one of the next 2 games, and it's all done. Like, we're not sitting here dwelling about what happened. We're talking about a 7th seed beating a 2nd seed that had a lot of talent and the best defense, in my opinion, in the league. So that's where we have to be. As far as AD's Jekyll and Hyde act, I don't know. I don't know what AD can do to start playing consecutive good games more than twice a game in a row. I don't know what's going to take. Maybe Memphis was able to curtail that. Maybe if he ends up playing Sacramento in the next round, it might be a little easier. And then, of course, if he ends up playing Denver or Phoenix, definitely I have to deal with
because in
the
game 5,
there.
Yeah, well, Memphis, Joe, is going to play strong coming out the box. They're going to play determined. They're going to play with sense of urgency because their backs are against the wall. If the Lakers, I think that's absolutely scarlet blue. If the Lakers can keep it close by halftime, anything is possible.
Well, they have to not make these mistakes they were making. It's different when you do it on the road versus at home. Don't make these boneheaded mistakes. But then again, every game is different. They might have 5 turnovers the whole game and lose still. You don't know. There's no formula anymore in this league to figure out a win. There just isn't. You have to be out Kawhi Leonard, Paul George to for sure lose at that point. But that's because you're playing against Durant, a capable Chris Paul, Ayton, and Devin Booker. You're not going to have any, and they were still keeping it close without those guys. So it's the NBA is brave new world, man. It's a brave new game, and every game has its own personality. I have no idea how Game 5 is going to play out. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers blew them out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got blown out. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a close game, Memphis won. If it was a close game, Lakers won. I have no feeling on it. Tonight, I share the same feelings that Sean had. I actually was not nervous tonight at all. I got excited. I was in the game, but I didn't feel one irregular heartbeat at any point in this game. I don't know why. Even when they were down 7, it didn't hit. And sometimes when you've watched enough games and been around this long enough, there's this indirect, natural feeling of the game that you kind of just kick into, and you just don't know. You don't know really what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's what's known as a moment of clarity, Joe. It like swaths over you, that positive reinforcement. Just like, it's going back and forth right now, but we're good. We're solid. It's a mindset, right? And it's contagious. Like Joe loves the quote from Billy Beane in Moneyball where he tells the guys, "I hate losing more than winning," and there's a difference. And you have to understand what somebody really means when they say that. And Joe says it's a disease. And he's right. It is.
Yeah, losing is a disease in so many facets of life. And I'm not going to sit here and become the next David Groggins or whatever, but there's a mindset that winners have. And it's not really something you can explain other than you just don't allow yourself to want to lose. You lose more than you win, no matter what's going on in your life. We don't have our hands in this. We're just spectators watching, right? But you can take what you're watching in it's a sport. It's something that's not life or death, but there's traits there that can define a mentality of we're going to win beyond, without any doubt. We're going to win this. And
So Shaq had the line of the night. He said Dylan
Actually, I think Sovereign reminding us about Joe Soro's line is the line of the night. But go ahead.
He said, Dylan Brooks said you don't respect somebody until they get 40. LeBron got 20 and 20 tonight. That makes 40.
Again, when it mattered the most, Dylan couldn't guard him.
Dylan Brooks is what Jordan was saying in The Last Dance. It's easy, like Sean was saying about the front runner thing. It's easy to talk smack when you're up 10 or win. Let's see if you talk smack when you're down 10. You should have been talking smack to LeBron when they were going back and forth, but he wasn't. He was getting burned by him. And you can't tell a guy in LeBron's position that he's something he's not without backing it up. You're talking about a guy that's 12, 13 years younger, maybe more? How old is Dylan Brooks? 25? 27?
He's 25.
So he's 12 years.
27, excuse me.
So you're talking about a guy who's in his prime. 27 is the NBA prime number of primes. And you're getting your ass whooped by a guy who's almost 40, who's logged in, if you count playoff games, probably close to 24 years of NBA basketball. What do you say then? What would we ask Dylan Brooks?
Well, he told them. Didn't you see that conversation they had, Joe? He said your ass.
The one before a game.
Your ass is causing too many problems, and you're just fooling around out here. Do your job. He basically called him a clown to his face. He said you're fooling around out here. He called him a clown to his face.
Yeah, and that's a good way to go about it. And I think LeBron's handled it really well. There needs to be harder questions to Dylan Brooks. And again, I enjoy the banter because it kind of gives a rivalry type feel. But at the same time, as a reporter or as a whomever, you got to ask the right question. Like Dylan Brooks, at what point are you going to back up what you're saying?
Well, he can't, Joe. He can't back that up.
That's the record screeching. What reporter will ask Dylan Brooks, at what point are you going to back up your talk? Talk is cheap. It's not like Draymond Green. Draymond Green can talk all he wants. He's got two of the greatest shooters of all time behind him. Of course he can talk, right? It's different here. Who's going to back you up if you're not going to do it? Just saying.
I would just say that if I had one small critique tonight, although he did have 21 points, I really want to see the ball more in Austin Reeves' hands, Gerald. I think he outside of LeBron, I would say he's our highest b-ball IQ with the dribble. So I would like to see him have, and I think Game 5 is a great opportunity for both Rui and Austin Reeves to like Joe said, it's possible that Memphis just we're in that hostile barn and they just blow the doors off of us. But it's just like Joe said, it was equally as probable that we do the same thing to them. But I really want to see Austin Reeves get the ball more and take more of an initiative on offense, because I think at this point in time, I think LeBron's given him the green light. If he wants to attack or thinks he's got a matchup he can exploit, he respects Reeves' intellect enough to do it. And to be quite honest and frank, all due respect to guys like Mario Chalmers, Norris Cole, it's been a while since he had a young guy who could do something like this. So I think it would be important for Reeves's development and important for the Lakers to have him have a little bit more responsibility with the ball.
Once again, it's the Lakers winning 117-111. They are now up 3-1 as it heads back to Memphis on Wednesday. Joe, still got a little bit more I want to talk to you about. One of the things Hootie brought up, who's on Twitch, and give him a big shout out. He is a Memphis fan, but you know what? He's here in the chat. And thank you so much, King Jess, for subscribing. Truly appreciate it. I do want to give him a lot of respect as a Memphis fan for being here and showing up and talking. You know, he's calling out the Grizz as far as in 7. The series ain't over yet. At least he's here still talking. Unlike his players that he respects, like John Morant and Dillon Brooks, who decided not to talk after tonight's game. What does that say to you? What does that say to you?
I don't.
I'll talk after game 2 and they win.
I've at some point you're gonna show who you are when it matters, and there's no point in giving attention to slappies. You know, I call them slappies, slap nuts, slaps. It's just a more tame word that still has a little bit of a sting to it, right? I don't know. Did John Morant talk?
Nope. John Morant and Dillon
No,
Brooks.
did they talk after they won game 2? Even John Morant when he didn't play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he talk?
Yeah, they were all talking.
Well, it's not an accident that when you talk out your Yahoo, when you're not supposed to, this is the kind of result that ends up usually happening, which is you're down 3-1 against the 7th seed, a team that was in 13th place in the West for almost 4 months. So should the Lakers win one of the next 2 games, you're going to be talking all the way to your house and staying there watching NBA basketball on TV. And that's another thing that the comments need to be, brought out to with these guys. So what are you guys going to do on the couch tonight and the next 2 months?
If it doesn't go the way that you called it, you got to face the music. As simple as that.
Yeah, you're not. You
can't hide.
You got to be there in defeat. We saw the Detroit Pistons walk like cowards when they got smacked by the Bulls in 1991. They were blaming Lambeer. They were blaming Isaiah. They were blaming everyone on the planet. You know, what's funny is no one talks about Joe Dumars shaking hands with the Bulls and Michael Jordan, right? But everybody remembers the bad ones. Everybody remembers the Isaiah Thomas crouching behind Bill Lambeer, right? Well, that cost you the Olympic team, being on the dream team, and stop blaming other people for your actions, right? But they at least won championships. They at least backed up their talk. What have these guys done? What is Klay Thompson? Go ask Klay Thompson what he feels. I'm going to listen to Klay Thompson personally. I'm going to listen to a guy who already said this a couple of years ago, that these guys are essentially clowns that act like they've won something when they haven't. And the reason why I love and mention Klay Thompson is when you listen to Klay Thompson talk and describe things, he talks like we do. There isn't this cliched BS garbage that most of these guys are taught to talk.
He's freewheeling, man.
He's freewheeling. And not only is he freewheeling, he's intelligent and very, very assertive in what he says. So, and I remember there was some guys like, oh, why is Klay Thompson whining? I'm like, oh, Klay Thompson's not like his head coach. He's not like Steve Kerr. Klay Thompson's different. Steph Curry, different. Draymond, jackass. Like, you don't have...
Klay has that cred, Joe, amongst the league as being one of the most respected guys in it. So if he's calling you a bum...
You're a bum.
He's calling you a clown. You're a clown. You're
this
a bum.
Is Michael Thompson's kid. This Michael Thompson didn't raid no dummies. Michael Thompson, one of the best people ever. Okay, so credibility matters. Get some credibility before you start yapping. Okay, start playing before you do this. Win something.
Yeah. Now we're gonna call you the Beale Street Bums.
I mean, you're gonna go 2 seed and get bowed out by a Laker team that was supposed to be dead fish. I mean, that's a terrible way to go. I don't know how to I don't know. I guess losing to Phoenix would have been bad, I guess, too. I don't know. I don't know. But Lakers need to take this day off coming up tomorrow. I believe Darvin Ham said that Anthony Davis is going to get around-the-clock care for his hip, his balls, his chest, his face. I don't know, whatever it is.
Ice bath.
And get that stuff iced down and get yourself ready for a Game 5 that's going to be even harder than all the other 4 you've played. Imagine that. It's going to be harder to win that game than any game in this series, even Game 7. So, because even in a Game 7, the Grizzlies are going to be scared to lose that game. In this situation, they're going to play like they've got nothing to lose because that's just how it works. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how they react. If the Lakers come out and win Game 5, it's going to say a lot about what the future holds, the near future holds for this team, and how deep they can go in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Once again, the Lakers do win 117-111 to get a 3-1 series lead on the Memphis Grizzlies. And I know we're going to have more coverage tomorrow and talk about what the Lakers need to do to step up in Game 5. MagicMan, any last thoughts before I bring it back to Joe for On the Way Out?
Yes, Gerald. You know what? I know a lot of people are going to critique AD's offensive output tonight. Don't care. Through 4 games, he has 19 blocks, 7 steals. He's been the force defensively. Triple J won Defensive Player of the Year, Gerald, but Anthony Davis is outplaying him defensively. He's outplaying the Defensive Player of the Year.
Triple J,
he is.
Triple J did play well as well. A lot of blocks for him.
Sure, I understand.
The Lakers drove it right into him, and he sent a few back. So the Lakers maybe have to try and do what they can when they're driving to look more towards the pass instead of just straight on drives to try and get it out of the play.
I understand that, but the ledger still reads we're up 3-1,
and that's the beautiful part. That's the absolutely beautiful part.
Yeah, because AD did have a stinker of a game offensively.
And the Lakers still win.
And the Lakers still win. Yes. This team has a lot of resolve and a lot of guts. And that's positive. That's one of the most positive attributes we could find, in the first 20, 25 games of the Darvin Ham experience, is that at least it's ingrained in his teams, in their DNA, that they just fight and claw and will scratch to get back. And it's shone through, Gerald, because we're up 3-1.
Absolutely. And that's what's most important for us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Joe, again, a very thrilling victory. Up by 15, down by 7. Lakers come back strong, close it out. Thrilling victory. LeBron and AD stepping up when it matters the most. The rest of the team providing much needed help. Great defense for most of the game. Offense in and out, but it came on when it mattered the most. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Get your rest, folks. LeBron, get those knees iced down and go back into the lab and get whatever you got from Germany and put it in there, and let's get ready to close this sucker out on Tuesday.
Wednesday, you mean?
I mean Wednesday. Sorry.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know why I thought today was Sunday. Yeah, that's weird. I think talking is done in terms of this series. I think they've gotten each other's understanding on what they're capable of. At this point, it's just grit and effort and who's going to make the shots and who's not going to make the shots. This was the perfect example tonight of two teams that were making shots all game long. And in the end, there was only really one that could do it. And that's usually how these games end, is one superstar, 2 superstars, whatever, end up taking over and winning the game. And that's what you got. One of my favorite games, I think, for a very long time. This was one of my favorite games. I really, really enjoyed the game tonight. I think the fact that I wasn't nervous made it a lot easier because I could actually sit there and enjoy it. A lot of times when you're nervous, you don't really enjoy the journey of the game. You enjoy it after if they win. You go back and you have the memory of it, but I rarely will be in a game and enjoying the game as it's going. It's kind of like the Super Bowl. I watched the Steelers win 2 Super Bowls, but they were miserable games to watch. I was miserable. I was only really happy until they won a game after the game was over. So I never really got a chance to really enjoy those games. With basketball, it's a little bit less drastic because you do have a 7-game series. Obviously, the Lakers have won 6 championships in the last 23 years, so that keeps it a little bit more fresh and less hectic. But what's his name saying, Waterboy? I know he said 4 steak dinners, but I'm going to use the six Larry O'Briens. What's better than 6 Larry O'Briens? Sean, finish it off for me.
Sean,
unmute. You got to answer
Sean's
this.
in the zone. He's in that still Zen like.
Yeah, no, I can't answer it, Joe. Sorry, I'm in.
All right, I'm gonna ask it again. So this
All right.
is next time you need to pay attention when I'm not when I'm not talking.
You remember, he's had a busy night.
So in Waterboy, there's a phrase of what's better than I'm paraphrasing. What's better than a 4 steak dinner? What 4 steak dinners? What's better than 4 steak dinners?
Is that like 5 steak dinners?
There you go.
Yeah.
So I was saying, what's better than 6 Larry O'Briens in the last 23 years?
7. Yes,
now,
sir.
Here's the other thing. The 7th means 18 total, which means for the first time since, I believe, 1964 or 65, the Lakers will have had the lead of most championships in the NBA. I want to be alive for that. I think I got some time, but I want to see it now. I'd love to see it this year against the Celtics because it's looking like the Celtics are probably going to go all the way, at least to the finals. Unless
63, Joe.
Yeah, 63 there. I almost got it. So we're talking 63, guys. We're talking 60 years. 60 years since that's happened. Can we break it on the 60th season? Stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed. But we'll be back tomorrow for NBA observations to go ahead and talk about what's going on with the NBA playoffs, plus also set you up for Game 5 on Wednesday. You never know. We might throw in a snack pack or two. You never know before then as well. But once again, thanks so much again for everybody out there from Hoodie on Twitch, then everybody on Facebook, J. John and Kenneth out there, Fried Chicken, who still wants to challenge Joe to a fight and come down from Glendale. You did eat steakums, so much respect on the steakums. I love steakums. So, you know what? Much respect for you on that. Plus also as well, Terrence, Lewis, great to have you here. Zangerstein, always, you're the best. Search and Destroy, you're awesome. Truly great. Intel Wild, you know you're a legend. Everybody out there is part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. Stell, of course, Sovereign. So many great people that are out there. That's part of the best Lakers chat room that's out there right here at the Lakers Fast Break. More good numbers from us. We just truly appreciate everything that you do for us right here. Fried chicken is like fisticuffs. Fried chicken.
Gerald, before we head on out,
Sure.
Before we head on out, we've talked about whether or not Golden State can finally win a game on the road. The Kings are going to be without De'Aaron Fox for.
We don't know that for sure. That he has a broken fingertip, but he's
okay.
Not,
I heard, I saw reports that said he was going to be definitely out, but that's still up in the air.
Still up in the air. So.
Okay, all right. That's still though, Gerald. I mean, to break the index finger, the most important one in shooting a ball. That's going to be very difficult for the Kings to overcome, Gerald.
Absolutely. But we'll see what happens, my friend. We'll go ahead and report on NBA observations then. Game 5. Be there. Join us. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Plus also as well, after the game, of course, the best Lakers chat room that's out there and the best post game you will find anywhere on the Lakers or the NBA is always right here. You know what? More snack packs, absolutely. We're going to try to provide more snack packs as well over the next couple of days. So go ahead and check that out. Plus, also, again, the best post game that you could find out there is nowhere else than right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Have a great evening, everyone. Stay safe.